If you're just tuning in, you don't know the news. I mean, wow. I'm loving your late night, folks, and your late morning. But Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. He was, of course, the 45th president of the United States. He's going to be the 47th as well. He has said in a speech earlier this morning that God saved his life for a reason. We'll listen to some more of what he had to say coming up very soon. Let's talk right now, though, to Lieutenant General, who's retired, Ben Hodges. He's a former commander of the U.S. Army in Europe and has actually recently been campaigning for the Democrats to win. Good morning to you, Ben.
Hey, Julia. Good morning.
Very well. It's great to hear from you, but I imagine you're not feeling too happy today after your woman lost. But I'm just wondering what you think the significance of Kamala Harris losing and the Democrats losing the White House and Donald Trump winning, particularly if it also looks like he's won the Senate and the House of Representatives as well, when it comes to events in Europe, particularly with Ukraine, but also further afield in the Middle East.
Well, thanks for giving me a chance to come on this morning. And I'm doing so knowing that I'm at great risk of you mocking me in front of your audience. And I did with my wife. We worked very hard this summer and again recently to support Kamala Harris. And the reason I did so, and as you and many of your audience will know, it's unusual and it's usually not appropriate for retired general officers to get involved in politics. But as I was reminded that if you're a general for life, that means that my oath to support and defend the Constitution is also for life. And so I thought that somebody like Donald Trump was enough of a risk that I felt compelled. I had to be involved. But at the same time, if this is who my fellow citizens have elected, then he's my president as well. The implications for this are, I think, three come to mind right away. First of all, of course, the country is very divided. That's not a surprise to anybody, and it's the president's responsibility, but also other leaders and citizens to try and come back together and move forward. I worry Mr. Trump is not a unifying type personality.
You say that, and that was one of the reasons I think a lot of people, did vote for Joe Biden in 2020. But actually, the idea that he was going to be this kind of moderate, everything would calm down, everything get back to normal, then we kind of start again, president. Well, that was a lie too. I mean, he divided the nation as well. A lot of his policies were very divisive.
Julia, that's not a lie that President Biden was a unifying type president. The problem is that Mr. Trump never was willing to acknowledge that he lost.
Oh no, I completely agree with you on that. And again, I'm with you. I've always felt that he's unfit for the presidency on that basis. But Americans chose to vote for him, knowing all the criminal charges, what he did in late 2020 and early 2021, all of that. They know all of his history, and they voted for him anyway because they didn't feel that whatever that threat was, they either weren't concerned about it or it wasn't a bigger threat as what the Democrats were doing and what Kamala Harris is offering when you're looking at the border and other issues as well. And that is very telling, is it not?
Well, it certainly is a reflection on us, on us as a people, that more white women would vote for Donald Trump than voted for Kamala Harris. I mean, that is a reflection on us.
Why should white women vote for Kamala Harris?
I think I heard you say just a few minutes ago that you would never want to be in a room with him or your daughter to be in a room with him.
No.
Because I happen to believe that character is a big part of who our president.
I completely agree with you. Again, I would never have voted for Donald Trump in 2016 or 2020, but this time round, I think, when we talk about the threat to democracy, the existential threat to America's future, I think that it was on both sides, and people came out for the candidate they thought was going to be best for them, their families, and America. And that tells you something in terms of what is going to happen internationally, though, because we're asking people to get in touch about what this means for Britain.
Yeah,
but in terms of what it means, particularly for Ukraine, let's go to Ukraine. You and I have spoken many times about that. Because can I just say, President Zelensky has issued a statement reacting to Trump's victory, congratulating him on his impressive election victory, recalling their great meeting, being very, very conciliatory, very, love you, love you. He obviously knows how you operate with Donald Trump, and a lot of that is, stroking his ego. And he's about an existential battle to save his country. He's going to do whatever is necessary. But do you think that Donald Trump is going to be a threat to the future of Ukraine?
Well, I think you're making my point that, he has no real integrity. And so here we are guessing, what is he going to do? And I think he's made it clear through his actions and statements over the past 8 years that he gives not a toss for Ukraine. He's never criticized Vladimir Putin once in the last 8 years. So I do worry about support for Ukraine. And you're right, Ukraine is in a fight for its survival, but this is not just about Ukraine. It's about stability and security for all of Europe. And so I worry that Donald Trump and people around him don't really care that much about Ukraine, what happens to Ukrainians. That is a concern. And of course, Europe is going to pay an enormous price if the United States turns its back. But sadly, not enough European countries have done what they should.
Yeah.
In addition to us failing, and look, I want to be clear, the Biden administration has not been perfect. I've been a critic of their unwillingness to say that we actually want Ukraine to win this war and delivering what was needed. So that's a failure on our part. But as I look at the people on that stage, the picture you keep showing, I have to say...
This is Donald Trump and his victory speech on the platform.
Yeah, it does not inspire great confidence about, well, let me say it this way. A lot of Americans may be happy to say, hey, that's Europe's problem.
Yeah.
That is so short-sighted. We are forfeiting relationships that have made America prosperous and secure for decades, and I worry that under a Trump administration that he will forfeit that because of this isolationist tendency.
Yeah, I agree with you. That said, every American president has been elected on an isolationist policy because, that's what American people want. And they often find it very difficult to actually follow through with that. I share your concerns about Donald Trump with Ukraine, and I hope those concerns do not, turn out to be true. And again, I think Europe need to up their game. I don't think we should expect the American taxpayer to be funding our continent's security anymore. But when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to Israel taking on Iran, willingness to completely back Israel in their, again, equally existential battle against Islamofascism in Hamas and Hezbollah and the Iranian mullahs, I don't trust Kamala Harris and the Democrats on that, and I trust Donald Trump more on that. I mean, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Well, Trump has a record. I mean, he was the president for 4 years. And I'm not sure that you can say that he would do any better against Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas than what President Biden has done. But look, this is not an island. This is not in a vacuum. It happens inside a broader area. And it's American inability or unwillingness over the last decades to link together Russian aggression, Chinese threats, Iran, and now North Korea, linking these together and thinking strategically. If you defeat Russia first, Iran is isolated, North Korea is isolated, China is deterred. Now, I think we're going to be in the opposite situation.
That's very interesting. I certainly share a lot of your concerns there. Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, retired general in the U.S., former U.S. commander of the U.S. Army in Europe. So appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much indeed.